Okay, so following on from our previous Allis Chalmers video, we are into part two. So this period we're going to be looking at, in this video, we're going to be looking at the period from 1930 up until around 1960, and this will deal mainly with the tractor end of things, the agricultural end of things, tractor combine end of things, and the little bits of amalgamations there was, and new products and new developments within the Allis Chalmers company. So just to start off with the 1930s, the 1930s, they were a pivotal decade, obviously. So despite the Great Depression, Allis Chalmers succeeded as demand for its machinery continued. In 1931, it acquired Advanced Rumley of La Porte, Indiana, mostly because Merritt wanted the company's network of 24 branches, houses, and about 2,500 dealers, which would greatly increase Allis Chalmers' marketing and sales power in the farm equipment business. Also in 1931, the corporation's electrical equipment business expanded via the acquisition when Brown, Bovey and Say, in a financial pinch because of the depression, sold its US electrical operations to the Allis Chalmers Company. So in 1932, Allis Chalmers collaborated with Firestone, so Firestone's a tire company, the rubber company, to introduce pneumatic rubber tires to tractors. The innovation quickly spread industry-wide, and as to many farmers' surprise, it improved tractor force and fuel economy somewhere in the range of between 10% and 20%. Within only 5 years, pneumatic rubber tires had displaced cleated steel wheels across roughly half of all tractors sold industry-wide. Cleated steel remained optional equipment until the 1940s. So also in 1932, Allis Chalmers acquired the Ryan Manufacturing Company, which added various grader models to its construction equipment. So reading from that, we can see that the Allis Chalmers companies, they were pioneers in the introduction of rubber wheels, rubber tires onto tractors and farm equipment in collaboration with the Firestone Company in 1932. So one of the first tractors worldwide to have first tractor brands worldwide to have rubber tires fitted. Then in 1933, the Allis Chalmers Company introduced its Model WC, its first generation row crop tractor, which would become its highest ever selling tractor. In 1937, its lighter and more affordable second generation row crop, the Model B, arrived and also became a top seller. Its all crop harvester was a market leader in pull type tractor drawn combine harvesters. Then in October 1937, Allis Chalmers was one of 14 major electrical manufacturing companies that went to court to change the way labour unions excluded contractors and produced and products in the building trades throughout the use of the men and means clause. The action of Allis Chalmers and others eventually resulted in the US Supreme Court decision in June the 18th, 1945, that ended certain union practices that violated the Sherman Antitrust Act. So that was an act that was in place for the workers, the union workers in trade organisations, and Allis Chalmers were at the front of breaking all that down, breaking the barriers down. So just to everyone who, before we move on, everyone who watched our previous video on Allis Chalmers, thank you very much. A niche sort of a video, wasn't overly popular, wasn't as popular as I would like it to be. Maybe if it got a grip in the US, it might have done a little bit better. But look, we'll still pump these videos out because there are people out there that want to see them. They weren't an overly popular machine in Ireland and the UK around that time. But still, nonetheless, there is a lot of interest in them, and there will be more so as the models progress down through the years. As we get into this video, it might be more suited to some people. But yeah, for those who did watch, those who did comment, and those who did subscribe and send me messages, thank you very much for your input. It's been a very, very busy week, very busy week for me, very busy couple of weeks. Obviously, it's harvest time. The weather has been all over the place. I'm changing jobs, in the middle of changing jobs at the minute. I've had a holiday for the last week. I've been off for the last week. I have training all next week, and I've been working on the 165 at home as well. So I've been getting home to Mead, and I've been spending some time working on the 165. And I have a special video coming out, please God, next Sunday. An update video on the 165, and we'll have it taken out for spin, and it looks really good at the minute. So yeah, I'll have another video on that. There's very small work to be left to be done on it, but we will have a chat about it if the weather is right and I can get out and make a good video. So moving on further with Allis Chalmers. So when we look at the 1940s, obviously with every other manufacturer of heavy equipment and machinery around that time, World War II caused Allis Chalmers, like most other manufacturing companies, to become extremely busy. As happened with many firms, its civilian products line experienced a period of being on hold, with the emphasis on parts and service to keep existing machines running, but its war material production was pushed to the maximum of productivity and output. In the late 1930s through the mid 1940s, Allis Chalmers made machinery for naval ships, such as the Liberty ship steam engines, steam turbines, generators, electric motors, artillery tractors, tractors for other army use, electrical switches, controls, and other products that, as we spoke about in the previous video, the depth of the industry that Allis Chalmers were involved in, you can just imagine how they would have been pivotal to the war effort during the 1940s. So Allis Chalmers was also one of the many firms contracted to build equipment for the Manhattan Project. Its experience in mining and mining machinery made it a logical choice for uranium mining and processing equipment. Allis Chalmers ranked 45th among the United States corporations in the value of wartime military production contracts. And incidentally, if anyone is unaware of what the Manhattan Project was, perhaps if you asked some people in Hiroshima or Nagasaki, they might have a better understanding and be able to explain to exactly what the Manhattan Project was. The development of nuclear weapons, obviously, that was led by the US during the 1930s and 40s. So getting into the 1950s. So the 1950s were a time of great demand for more power and farm tractors, as well as greater capability from their hydraulic and electrical systems. It's also a decade of extensive dieselization, as it was called, from railroad locomotives to farm tractors and construction equipment. In 1953, Allis Chalmers acquired the Buddha Engine Company from Harvey, Illinois. Allis wanted Buddha for its line of diesel engines because its previous supplier, Detroit Diesel, was a division of General Motors, whose recent acquisition of the Euclid Heavy Equipment Company now made it a direct competitor of Allis Chalmers for construction equipment business. The Buddha Lenova models were rechristened the Allis Chalmers diesel engine line. Diesel engineers were busy during the following years updating and expanding the line. In 1953, the WD-45 was introduced, replacing the WD. The motor was increased to 226 cubic inches, giving it 30 horsepower at the drawbar, and at the Nebraska tests, this was almost double the horsepower of the WD. The new Allis Chalmers designed snap coupler hitch was used. It allowed the operator to hook up to an implement from the seat of the tractor. The Buddha diesel-powered WD-45 was introduced in 1955. This series stayed in production until the unveiling of the D series in 1957. In 1955, the company acquired the Gleaner Manufacturing Company, which was an important move for its combine harvester business. Allis was the market leader in pull-type or tractor-drawn combines with its All-Corp harvester line, but acquiring Gleaner meant that it would now be the world leader in self-propelled machines, and it would also own two of the leading brands in combines. The Gleaner line augmented and later superseded the All-Crop harvester line, and for several years, Gleaner's profits made up nearly all of Allis Chalmers' profits. Gleaners continued to be manufactured at the factory in Independence, Missouri after the acquisition. In 1957, the Allis Chalmers D series of tractors was introduced. It enjoyed great success over the next decade. In 1959, Allis Chalmers acquired the French company Vendreville. Also in 1959, it acquired a Tractomotive Corporation of Deerfield, Illinois, which it had been partnering with as an auxiliary equipment manufacturer for the last decade. In Haycraft's History of the Construction Equipment Business 2000, he expressed the view that Allis Chalmers relied too heavily for too long on partnering with auxiliary equipment suppliers and acquiring them instead of investing in in-house development production. So as we've seen before with lots of companies that say they wanted a line of implements or they wanted a line of harvesters, they just bought a company instead of developing from the ground up their own equipment. And this is what Haycraft, I suppose, had an issue with in his book in 2000. So in his view, this strategy limited the company's success in the business and eventually had to spend the development dollars anyway. So Bauschler's comments about the Buddha acquisition and the need for subsequent improvement of its design seems to corroborate this view. However, the topic is multivariate and complex. Elsewhere in his memoir, Bauschler presents a viewpoint in which investing in research and product development is an expensive move and often does not pay off for the inventor and mostly benefits competitor clones. So yeah, so developing your own and then putting money into your own development, spending time on patents, but then a competitor can look and say very quickly and say, we'll just adapt that a little bit, we'll change that a little bit, we'll copy that, and they're a huge benefit. And you still see that going on these days with developments in certain particular lines of equipment between probably the three top, Agco and maybe Case and John Deere as well, where there's this to and froing. Incidentally, when you have companies like Tesla out there, now I'm not the world's biggest Tesla fan whatsoever, but Tesla, when they develop electrical systems, or develop systems for their cars, everything does no Tesla hold a patent on nothing. They do not patent any design, any development, any product. They hold no patents. So everything that they come up with that's new or novel is there for other manufacturers to take, and that's a viewpoint that they have come up with and said that it's to the betterment of people in general, to the world in general, that other companies can take their designs and copy them and change them or do whatever they want and make it maybe an even better car. And that's the line that Mr. Musk is going with. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. So that's it. Look, it's a quick video today. As I said, I have been very, very busy. So that is up until the late 1950s, heading into the 1960s. I will have another video coming out very, very soon. I will have the Massey Ferguson one hopefully next Sunday. If I don't have it next Sunday, I'll have the next version, the next Allis Chalmers video. Yeah, it is a short one, but that's all the time allows this week. And as you know, I had none last week, so I have to make up some time. Anyway, look, it's summer. Everyone's out. Everyone's on holidays. Not too many people are watching videos. Things are busy. So that's it. That's it for this week. Thanks a million to everybody for watching. If you got to the end of the video, fair play to you. All my regular viewers, all my regular people who comment, thanks a million for the support. Yeah, thanks a million for everyone. I will see everybody next week. Thanks.